What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. And today we're jumping straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, this first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for telling my daughter that she needs to get a real job or move out? My daughter, 24 female, had to move back in with me and my wife 3 months ago. She used to live in her own apartment since she was 19, but unfortunate events caused her to terminate her lease. Anyways, she's studying at a close by university and working on her thesis. She's also employed as an assistant, and they pay her on an hourly basis, so she has to document her hours. But they only give her her salary at the end of each semester, which is basically a moderate lump sum. But the fact that she's not receiving a monthly income means she's not able to pay me rent in due time. I get that she's still studying and that she's my daughter, but I can't have a grown adult woman stay in my house rent free. So the other day I brought up the topic, and she said she's trying her best but that she's overwhelmed as is, juggling her assistant work and her studies. I was sort of annoyed at this and told her that her assistant work isn't a real job, that her hours are lenient and that she needs to get a real job to cover her monthly rent or that she has to move out. She started crying and said that it is a real job and that the lump sum will be just enough to cover her rent and her student loan debt, but I'm still not eager to sit and wait for her on her rent. My wife overheard the conversation and she's really upset with me now. She said that I'm insensitive. My wife is usually at home and said that she can tell my daughter is overwhelmed. Apparently she's working till early hours in the morning and only getting an average 4 to 5 hours of sleep since she moved in with us. She has to submit her thesis soon, which is a major deadline, a month from now. My wife said it's not like she's loafing or wasting her time doing nothing or playing video games. My wife also told me that my daughter's assistant work is a real job and that she often works extra hours. Sometimes she gets called in for nonsensical reasons, but that she's never heard my daughter complain about it, but that her exhaustion is quite obvious. Well, apparently it's not that obvious. If it was, why didn't I pick up on it? But my wife is ignoring me now, and I'm starting to wonder, am I an arsehole here? Yes, you are, indeed. Your daughter, who's trying her bloody hardest with her theses, and she has got a job, but she gets paid at the end of each semester, so she has got a job and she's working hard, and you're putting extra pressure on her shoulders when she's doing her very best to achieve what she needs to in life, and you're putting her down because of that. You're an absolute arsehole. No doubt about it. And you're her parent. Jesus Christ, man. Get a grip. You know, I came into this story, and it's because of the nature of these stories, we always expect the person they're talking about to be like a deadbeat and just mooching off everyone else, like living off their parents all the time when they're an adult and all this kind of thing. But in this situation, your daughter is absolutely trying her hardest, and you're even saying it in this story and you can't see it. I don't understand your logic. This is your daughter, someone that you've raised, someone that you've loved, and you're this quick to turn on them like that when they are trying their best. I could 100% honestly tell you if that was sort of my daughter, my son, anyone like that, and they were trying their best, they'd be living with me rent free. End of. But Scorpio Girl says, sorry, but you're the arsehole. Your wife is correct. It's not like your daughter is living in your basement, playing video games and smoking pot. She's going to school and working. Cut her some slack or you're going to lose her and likely your wife. And Julia says you are inconsiderate. Writing a thesis is a full-time job or more than that, and it won't take forever. This is literally the worst time to ask your daughter to start what you suppose is a real job. By the way, just because sometime academia pays shitty, it does not mean it's less work. This is ridiculous. Very much, you're the arsehole. And HL says, she might be an adult, but you have no compassion for your daughter. Pay or move out? Move out where while she slaves away and studies hard in the middle of a pandemic that has tanked the economy? She isn't staying in your house rent free. You just said that she said her lump sum will cover the rent. Your wife is right. She's not wasting her time. She is studying hard. A thesis is a massive thing. Maybe try being a little more supportive, attentive, and caring. She's your daughter, not a stranger or a roommate who isn't paying rent. It would absolutely break my heart if my father treated me that way you're treating her. And I'm sure as hell didn't have to deal with a thesis at her young age. You're the arsehole. And Reddit DK2 says, info, something doesn't add up here. You said that your daughter had lived in her own apartment until recently, so she had been paying rent. No landlord other than parents would wait for rent. How did she used to pay rent? OP replies she got funding for her research and a sum of money was allocated to her for her personal expenses. She used that money to cover rent, but lockdown and the pandemic had implications on her lab work because she was refused laboratory access. They had to cut her funding for the next year because of those setbacks. So when she ran out of funds, she had to terminate her lease. And again, how is this her fault because of everything that's been going on in the world at the minute, and you're again going to punish her for it? It makes no sense. But now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Gaily Kitty. Am I the arsehole for not letting my friend wear my engagement ring? Okay, a little bit of backstory here. My fiance and I have been engaged for about 3 weeks. He got me the most beautiful ring that is exactly what I've always wanted, and it fits me perfectly. The only time I take my ring off is to apply lotion to my hands. I work in the medical field, which means lots of hand washing, sanitizing and cleaning, so my hands get super dry, and when I do that, I keep it directly in front of me on my desk and within sight at all times. I've never had any sort of issue until a couple of days ago. I have a co-worker with whom I am friendly. Let's call her T. We used to be very close until I figured out that she and I lead very different lives and I don't necessarily drive with her morals. Whatever, live and let live. I let a little bit of distance form between us, but we are still friendly and still talk at the office. So naturally I told her that I was engaged and she asked to see my ring. She oohed and ahed at it like most other people in the office and I didn't think much about it. But a couple of days ago, she approached my desk while I was putting my lotion on my hands, with my ring laying directly in front of me as usual. Without asking, she reached down and picked up my ring and slipped it onto her own finger instead, holding it up and admiring it, etc. I was flabbergasted. I didn't even know what to say, and I was so shocked that I just sat there in uncomfortable silence until she made a comment about how it looked so good on her, and I commented, "Don't go getting any ideas," trying to be light-hearted but also wanting my ring back. She eventually took it off and handed it back to me and left. I was super uncomfortable with the whole thing, but I put it off thinking I was being too sensitive. Today I was walking past her desk and she asked to see my ring. I held out my hand for her to look at it and she began removing the ring from my finger. So I pulled my hand back. She got pouty and asked why she couldn't take it off and see it, since I had let her before. I told her I had not let her do that before. She grabbed it without permission and put it on without even asking if I minded. She rolled her eyes at me and said I was being ridiculous. I feel like I am justified being protective of a ring that represents my fiance's love for me. Am I the arsehole? First off, I struggle with any story these days that mentions lotion. Whenever it happens, all I can think of is Silence of the Lambs. That's all I can think of every single time. It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. Oh god. This pandemic has been a nightmare for me because everyone's talking about like hand creams and stuff like that. So whenever it comes up, I'm just like, oh, don't do it, Mark, don't do it. But anyway, I've gone off on one. Back to the story. You're absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. Who would do that? I could never imagine myself. Well, would be a bit of an awkward situation if I did it anyway. Going up to someone's desk and seeing the engagement ring and picking it up and just, oh, I'm just going to pop that on my finger and have a look at that lovely stuff. Who does that? What goes through their mind to think, oh, that's a normal thing to do? And the fact that she just tried pulling the ring off your finger later on as well, I'm just going to take that off a second. Insane behavior, the entitlement of that person. And what was she going to do with it a second time was what was jumping into my head as well. It seems a bit suspect that she was just taking it off for a second time to look at it. Why? What was she going to do with it? That was what was going through my head. But we're going to cover a couple of comments to see what they say. So Dragonfly825 says, not the arsehole. I also realize you have to still work with this rude entitled lady. So tell her it's bad luck to try on someone else's engagement or wedding ring. Someone tried to do this to me and I told her the same. We really do believe this. And Practical Heart says, not the arsehole. It feels like she's going to take it. Would you be up for wearing it on a necklace at work? That's what I did when I worked in hospital lab because of all the hand washing and on and off with gloves. My ring would sometimes snag gloves and rip them. And Tomason99 says, not the arsehole. If she wants to try on engagement rings, then she can go to the jewelry store. Why would anyone think it's okay to just grab someone else's ring and put it on? It's beyond me. And Endionofa says, not the arsehole. Your friend may steal your ring. keep your eyes open. And Jen Petra says, nope, not the arsehole. First, you don't ask to try on someone else's engagement ring. Second, you absolutely do not try on someone else's engagement ring without asking. Third, who the fuck tries to remove someone else's engagement ring from their finger? And the loud Canadian girl says, not the arsehole. There are so many red flags here. I'd probably stop taking my ring off around her if I were you. She's just so confident in taking it and putting it on without permission. That's concerning. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you think of this situation? And how would you react if a coworker did that to you? Like, you had your engagement ring on the desk and they just came and picked it up and put it on. How would you feel and how would you react? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Witty Conflict. Would I be the arsehole for reporting a doctor for him saying, congratulations? Throwaway because I don't want this to be associated with my main. I, 37 female, am married with 2 kids. I have had an IUD for 3 years. I hadn't been feeling well, and so I thought I would take a pregnancy test just to be 100% certain. I was not pregnant since when you call to get an appointment, they will often ask you this. I knew it was almost impossible, but figured I feel weird, so what the heck. It was positive. I was in shock and a little bit of terror since IUD births are not always pleasant, nor did I have any desire to have any more kids, hence the IUD. I went to the doctor's office and the NP tried to do an ultrasound but didn't see anything, so she asked if she could bring in another person. I said fine. This doctor comes in with a vaginal ultrasound and says he doesn't see anything, but that just means it's really early. When he is done, he says, I've seen a baby come out with an IUD on its back. Isn't that cool? Well, congratulations. A baby is always a blessing and you must be very excited to have a little one, even if it was a surprise. I should clarify that I was not happy or saying anything positive about being pregnant during my interactions with any of the people there. In fact, the opposite. After that, they finally, even though I requested it earlier, gave me a blood test and it came back negative, so I had words with a pregnancy test company. In the end, it has been months, and that doctor's attitude and words have stuck with me as inappropriate and really pressuring. I've been thinking about reporting him, but don't know if it is report worthy, or if my bad day is just making me extra mad at the guy. So would I be the arsehole if I reported him to patient affairs? And there's a mixed bag of comments on this one, so we're going to go through them straight away. So 5 Pink Toes says, you have an IUD and the doctor congratulates you being pregnant. What the actual fuck? And no, not all pregnancies are blessings. He may be trying to spin the unplanned pregnancy positive, but that's not their place. Doctor, you have an IUD, birth control, and you're pregnant. Do you need some support, education about your choices? You say, yes, I need to consider my choices. The doctor says, I'll get you some names and numbers. Or you say, yay, I'm pregnant. Doctor says, congratulations. Doc takes their cue from you. Not the arsehole. And Poultry Guy says, you had words with a pregnancy test company. Pregnant tests aren't always 100% accurate. Most even say that on the box. And 10 Bros says, I'm 100% pro-choice, but it seems like the doctor was just trying to be positive and polite. So I'm going to say you're the arsehole, even though it's an unpopular opinion. And Slowly Clap says, you're the arsehole. What are you reporting him for exactly? Who would you be reporting him to? What do you think they will do about it except laugh in your face? And Mrs. Cheney says, what was he supposed to say? Tough shit, you're pregnant. You're the arsehole. To which Abyssal Crisis replies, doctors are supposed to take their cues from the patient, gauge their reaction to being told they're pregnant, and then respond appropriately. Or better yet, say something like, you're pregnant, what resources would you like to look into? It's not fucking rocket science. And Astodon says, I am so tired of the constant doctor bashing in this subreddit. We collectively have gone through some real shit this last year. I don't know if you noticed, and filing complaints over pleasant albeit misguided interactions where no harm came to you makes you an enormous arsehole. Was his response not ideal given the IUD? I mean probably, but report him? For what exactly? You're the arsehole and honestly you should be ashamed of yourself. And that thread just keeps going backwards and forwards between you're the arsehole, not the arsehole, with both sides coming together and arguing. But what do you guys think of this situation? Who do you think? Do you think OP is the arsehole, or do you think the doctor is the arsehole? Let us know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Sky's Secret. Am I the arsehole for wanting to cancel a bachelorette trip because the couple broke up? A friend had to reschedule her 2020 wedding and bachelorette trip to 2021. We organised a local batch event at a restaurant before her small 2020 ceremony. She got legally married a month later and now is getting divorced and is cancelling her 2021 big wedding. The trip was rescheduled to May 2021. I'm dreading it. It was expensive and she's been a bridezilla. See below. I don't want to upset her, but I need to figure out what to do soon before people start asking me what the plan is, because I booked everything. To get a refund, we have to cancel everything in the next 3 weeks. Is it normal to expect your bridesmaids and friends to still organise and pay for a bachelorette trip for you after your wedding is called off? Or am I an arsehole for wanting to bail? Background info. She's been demanding and selfish, even threatening to fire bridesmaids for not putting in enough effort into wedding planning. The trip was expensive when we booked it pre-pandemic, $1,000 plus per person just for flights and lodging for a weekend, and we all paid for her. The bride called the girls who said the trip was pricey, were poor, and made fun of them. Now some girls have lost jobs, have new responsibilities, or just don't want to go because of current events. We've all spent a ton of money to celebrate the bride already. The 2020 local bachelorette day, wedding gifts for the first ceremony, $400 plus bridesmaids dresses that will never be worn, etc. I just don't think it's right to expect everyone to still go. I feel terrible for what she's going through and don't want to seem insensitive, but the whole thing has left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't want to go or have the reservations in my name if I'm not going. Now, to me, this is just one of those toxic friends that we see time and time again. And I don't think you're the arsehole at all in this situation. That's absolutely crazy to still want this bachelorette trip that you guys paid for her. And she still wants to go on it, given everything that's going on in the world as well. And like you say, people losing their jobs and everything else. Absolutely not the arsehole. That sounds like a very, very toxic person. And is it someone you really want to be keeping around anymore? But Eden Gone Dark says, not the arsehole. The fuck? It's atypical to have a bachelorette's party after the wedding, but now she's getting divorced? Lol. Hell no. Doesn't sound like she's much of a friend to you in any case. And Fleur Pixie says, not the arsehole. Bail with unseemingly haste. There are clearly many excellent reasons for you all to get your money back. There are exactly 0 reasons for you all to take her on a free vacation. Bail with impunity and sans guilt, OP. And If by Whiskey says, absolutely not the arsehole. Don't get me wrong, if I was in the bride situation, I'd probably still want to do something with my close friends to help get over what I'm sure must be a difficult breakup. But I certainly wouldn't expect them to pay for me, and it wouldn't be a bachelorette party anymore. Also, your friends sound like such an arsehole for judging people for not being able to afford the party she wants. When I planned my own COVID cancelled bachelor party, I 1. Secretly paid for more than my share because I knew 2 of my groomsmen would have a hard time affording it, and 2. Worked to make sure everyone got a refund when it was eventually cancelled. Not the arsehole. And Yike says, absolutely not the arsehole. She's had her party last year. She's not entitled to hit on you for a second one. And the fact that the marriage didn't even last that long just makes that ridiculous. But if it's too hard to be that honest with her, then you can quite legitimately say that people's financial circumstances have changed and now you can't afford it. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Silt Away. Am I the arsehole for telling my wife I would open a separate account if she didn't get our money back? I, 39 male, have been married to my wife, 36 female, for 12 years. We have no children, but we do have a cat and a dog we consider to be our children. My wife has a sister, M, 37 female, who has made very poor financial choices and is now heavily in debt. She refuses to get a job and instead jumps from on MLM or get rich quick scam to the next, sponging off relatives to make ends meet. Both me and my wife work full time. We each have a separate account that we use for our fun money, for hobbies or whatever we want. We earn almost the same amount of money, with me being a little higher, so I contribute 60% and she contributes 40% to make things fair. And also we have about the same amount of fun money. We also have a joint checking and savings account that we use for the household bills and household emergency fund, like when the water heater flooded the basement in the middle of the night. Both of us have access to the joint account, and if we need to use it, it is never an issue, so as long as we make sure to tell each other that we used funds from those accounts. As I was going through the statements for our joint household account, I noticed that there was approximately $2,000 missing from the joint savings account. I noticed that they were all Venmo transfers to her sister. When my wife came home from work, I asked what this was about, and she told me that her sister needed money to start her own business. My wife sat me down and explained to me that her sister joined yet another freaking pyramid scheme, this time selling fake nails and makeup. My wife said that she has the potential to earn 6 figures a month, and if that was true, my wife would also said she was going to join her sister selling these products, and if she made enough would quit her job and sell them full time with her sister. I told my wife that she either needs to get that money back from her sister or I would open a new account from my share of the household expenses and transfer it to that account when it was time to pay bills. My wife is upset with me and does not understand why I'm being so unsupportive. I told my wife that not only did she take money and not tell me about it, she invested it into something without even considering how I would feel about it. My sister-in-law called me last night and said that I was a raging arsehole and a control freak and that I was stopping my wife from using her full potential. I told my sister-in-law that I would support my wife in anything she chooses to do, as long as it would not cause financial harm to our family. My wife and sister-in-law are both pissed at me and now I feel like an arse. Am I the arsehole for telling my wife to get the money back? Now you know how I feel about MLMs, and so as soon as I saw that I had to stop for a few seconds just so I could shout to myself, "Not the asshole!" We don't support MLMs on this channel, I'm afraid. Get your wife on YouTube and just type in anti-MLM and just let her browse for a bit. I'm sure she best come to her senses after that or there is no hope. I gotta say myself though, I've got a bit of an addiction of just going on Facebook and going to these pyramid scheme pages, and I just go on there and browse and what they're talking to each other, and oh my god. So it's just, it's juicy stuff. And it's kind of the stuff like the wife was saying in this story. You have the potential to earn 6 figures just by selling these fake nails. And with our multi-level marketing scheme, you can become rich within a month or 2. Just send $4,000 as quick as possible. And they do just make me sick to my stomach. So absolutely not the arsehole. You need to separate your finances if she's going to continue down this route. And you strongly need to talk to her because that is going to do your family no favors. But firmly that guy says, not the arsehole. You don't secretly take money from a joint account. You ask as it's family money. I'd separate accounts. Your wife is intent on joining a pyramid scheme and will end up losing thousands. Statistically, this is the most likely outcome of pyramid schemes and MLMs. Protect your assets before that happens. Edit, I would also make it clear to your wife that any money spent on her harebrained pyramid scheme needs to come out of her fund money, not the household bills money. And Adept One says, not the arsehole. Had she spent her own fund money, that would be one thing. She can do whatever she wants with that. She can either get that money back from her sister or use her discretionary income to top up the account. But she cannot make unilateral decisions about family funds without your approval, unless she's cool with you literally setting 2K on fire in front of her because you felt like it. And it's okay to say you're welcome says, not the arsehole. Your wife is ridiculously gullible. And Father, Son, Holy Toast replies to this with a pretty cool comment saying, yes, she is. But I also want to add the caveat that these MLM companies train people to manipulate and pressure the people in their lives using their existing interpersonal relationships. It's definitely gullible for OP's wife to fall for this scam and believe she will make 6 figures a month doing it, but her sister, presumably someone she loves and trusts, is actively weaponizing their close relationship to manipulate her into joining and is doing it with scripts and psychological tricks the company is directly providing her with. The wife doesn't want to join because she heard a business proposition she thought was convincing and compelling. She wants to join for emotional reasons tied into guilt, obligation and love the sister is actively milking. MLMs are really very cult-like, and their reliance on the exploitation of existing social bonds is one reason they persist, despite 5 minutes of Google research making it abundantly clear to any thinking person that they're a horrible idea. And that comment is just so true. Yes, we take the piss out of MLMs and stuff, but you have to think about these people do get in this mindset. And yes, it is very gullible, but they do get stuck in this mindset. And it is damaging to not only to them financially, but to their relationships around them because they're constantly spamming, constantly trying to get people involved. I can see it in my own personal life when I look on my own Facebook. I rarely go on there, but when I do, I can see people spamming these different types. I'm not going to mention the names, but several different MLMs mentioning them and spamming them out and then getting cross that people don't support them. And like Father, Son, Holy Toast, great name says, they are abusing their interpersonal relationships and eventually getting themselves cut off, which is absolutely tragic when you really do think about it. And a lot of the times they convince the people that's going out and looking for business that they're empowering people to do the right thing by putting positive messages out every day and that sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with spreading positivity, but it's all behind the guise of selling these shitty products. But anyway, I've talked enough rubbish. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. And if you want to get involved further, join the channel if you really feel like it, but never any pressure to do so. You can click that join button down below for YouTube, or you can click the link in the description for Patreon and join up there. It is very, very much appreciated and super helpful to the channel. Thank you so much for doing you. It is really, really appreciated. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Boxes are defeating. Purpose always fleeting. I pose questions to the ceiling like an answer gonna come. Truth is too revealing. Life is easier concealing. All emotions till they start on your heart going numb. I shouldn't be in drive more. I just wanna feel alive more. I feel hurt all the time, but I can't see straight. I've been